This is the people's gavel. In the people's name, it is my privilege to hand it to the Speaker of the House for the 114th Congress, the Honorable John Boehner. Mr. Speaker. God bless you, Mr. Speaker. God bless America. Thank you.
John Boehner narrowly won a third term as House Speaker. And in the coming months, Speaker Boehner must find a middle ground on a bill to keep the Department of Homeland Security operating beyond February, a department that after the events today in France is likely on a very heightened alert status. It's all about the money. Americans want to know what's being spent and why, and Republicans are now on the hook more than ever before on this and other issues. A pleasure to welcome back to MidPoint, founder and president of Americans for Tax Reform, Grover Norquist joins us on the show. Grover, a pleasure to have you on the show again.
Good to be with you.
Grover, what's the message now that has been sent to John Boehner amidst all the fighting that he's gone through now? The midterms are all over, but now let's go ahead and get to work. From you and the Americans who are involved in that tax reform, what's the message that he's got to get through his head and deal with right now?
Sure. Look, Boehner has managed the House when it was in opposition, when they're in the minority. The Republicans were in the minority against Obama, and they held every single Republican against Obamacare, against the stimulus. That's one task. Then he got the majority, but not the Senate majority. And then he was able to pass legislation through the House, knowing that it would die in the Senate because Reid didn't allow votes. And he did that fairly well. So you've got this completely third act of the play where now he has a working majority. You know, there's a minor revolt among some House guys, and he still had, 13 votes to spare of his majority. So he has a broad enough majority that if any one group goes away mad, like appropriators or certain special interests, he can still hold together a majority. But now, in addition to that, the Senate can actually vote on every measure. So we're going to have bills that we pass in the House that we expect to pass in the Senate and the president to sign. There are a number of those. Small ball, although Keystone isn't small, the pipeline. There are a number of small reforms that I think the Republicans and Democrats in the House will pass. Reid wouldn't allow them to be voted on in the Senate, but now they'll go to the president. That stuff can get signed. Then there are the bills where you pass them in the House, the Senate votes on them, and that's what you defeat Democratic senators in 2016, 2018, and 2020. The reason it was so difficult for the Republicans to capture the Senate was Harry Reid wisely didn't let his vulnerable Democrats vote on anything. Remember, they would vote on judges and like some omnibus budget, but never a real budget, never appropriations. So the Democrats didn't look like liberals because they didn't vote on anything in the Senate.
Well, Grover,
now they're going to have to vote on everything.
There's so many people, though, you brought up Harry Reid's name, who will immediately, you bring that up and it becomes a cancer at this point. They're saying that he's the problem. However, and you know this as well as I do, that in the last couple of months, there's a number of Republicans who say it's John Boehner who's the problem. Matter of, I got to be honest, I haven't read this much hatred about a speaker from his own party in decades. So, in your opinion, is John Boehner the guy that really is to blame here, and does he deserve all this hate that he's taking lately from his own party?
Well, first of all, his own party overwhelmingly reelected him back in November in the caucus, with one guy, Gohmert of Texas, voted no. Everybody else voted yes. Then, more recently, they had another vote on the floor, and a bunch of people threw up symbolic votes saying, I would like this different or that different. They all had different reasons or things they were concerned about. Some were more libertarian, some were more anti-immigrant. There were little different pieces where people were sending a signal. But there was no one who ran against him. And when there was the real vote in November, nobody had anything to say no to. So people were really taking an opportunity to act out about whatever issue they thought was most important, saying, please look at my issue, please focus on my issue.
So this is all about look at me more than it is look at John Boehner.
If it was about look at John Boehner, he would have had a serious challenge in November instead of nobody running against him. Nobody ran against him, and one guy voted no. Okay? So this was not a revolt the way Gingrich had real revolts several times. When I remember trying to scramble to get votes for Gingrich when he was challenged in his own caucus. I understand the frustration. We have had a Republican majority in the House, and yet you can't do very much with it because of Reid's Senate. And people would get mad at Boehner because legislation didn't pass the Senate. And my thought was these people went to public high schools and didn't understand that the Speaker of the House doesn't get to control the Senate or the President's veto pen. But those frustrations are very real. We simply have to direct them accurately at Harry Reid, the Democrats in the Senate, and now at a presidential veto.
Okay.
Boehner's kept the party together. He's built the majority, and he's given us a series of votes that have allowed us to grow the majority. Now we have to do the same thing in the Senate.
Okay, I got to interrupt you because I only have about...
We change the world, we need a different president.
I only got 90 seconds left, but I want to make sure we direct to this real problem here. The FCC is looking to make the internet service a public utility, and you're saying that that is disastrous.
Well, what that is they want to turn the cable, your cable, into a public utility. So they're just going to say it is. But if you say that in law, the FCC, if they do that, $67 billion in taxes hit you and me and every American because there are state and local laws that say we tax utilities a certain amount. So if you say that something that wasn't a utility is now a utility, it's all going to be taxed. $67 billion. It's about maybe $100 per household or more. It's going to be very expensive.
Okay,
Watch out for that.
With about 30 seconds left, what happens now in this? Where is this going, and what does the public need to look at now to hopefully try to stop this or to be on the right side of this?
Yes. This is the FCC and the Federal Communications Commission. It's an agency where Obama appointed a majority. He's been pushing them to do this. They're not as crazy as he is, so they've been delaying it. But I think at the end of the day, he's going to wear them down. The Democrats might do it because Obama told them to, even though they're supposed to be an independent agency. Talk to your congressman, talk to your senator. We may be able to legislatively put a stop to this.
Get on this, because a public utility means you'd be paying an average of $67 more for landline broadband, $72 more for a mobile broadband each year. Yikes. Don't go ahead and take that another tax you don't need. Grover Norquist, always a pleasure to have you on the show, my friend. Thanks so much for being here.
Good to see you.
All right, take care. Short break, and we're back with a man who understands terrorism attacks on innocents more than most, and is also now dealing with an attack here at home that threatens to undermine his image. Alan Dershowitz is here when MidPoint continues.